Hey folks, Mr. Fly here, hope you're well. Out and about today on a glorious day on a bike that I've been itching to ride, seems like most other people, for a while. Since it was announced, this is a brand new for 2021 Suzuki Hayabusa. What a beast. This is going to be my first ever ride on the bike. Stick around, stay tuned, I'll tell you what I think of it. Okay, the Hayabusa then, one of a kind really. It's one of those bikes that definitely can be classed as iconic. There aren't too many of these sorts of bikes around. I suppose you could argue things like the maybe the Fireblade iconic, maybe the GS, maybe the Goldwing. These are the sorts of bikes that people have heard of, even people that aren't into motorcycling, and the Hayabusa definitely is one of those. The bike originally came out in 1999, and at the time it was the fastest production motorcycle you could get, and it got itself a bit of a reputation of being a beast. Got a revamp in 2008, and then it disappeared off the scene, at least in the UK here, about 3 or 4 years ago, when it didn't meet Euro 4 regulations and you could no longer buy them here. However, much excitement got building last year when it was announced by Suzuki UK that a new 2021 model was coming out. This is the bike I'm on now. This being the 3rd generation Hayabusa. Of course, bikes have moved on since 1999, and this one still very much a beast. Puts out something like 188 brake horsepower. I'll go through the specs in a minute when we do the walk around. But of course, modern day naked bikes and super bikes put out that or more. So it's no longer quite the king of the hill in terms of horsepower, but it still has a bit of a reputation, it has to be said, because of its unusual looks, I suppose you could say. Now, the original Hayabusa came out before my time really in terms of bikes. I never rode the original Hayabusa, so I'm coming at this afresh. So this isn't going to be a review about how it compares to the old bike. It's going to be what's a Hayabusa like if you've never ridden one before, like I hadn't until about 5 minutes ago. So let's go through all the stuff that you need to know about a motorcycle if you're thinking about buying it. Starting off with what's it like from a comfort point of view. And by the way, I appreciate I'm not on a very exciting road here. Hello sir, not a waver. So I will get onto some more interesting roads in a minute. But yeah, let's go through the stuff you need to know before we get to the more interesting roads. So comfort wise, it's a big old bike. You're feeling like you're laying down. Like if I move back on the seat, I've got loads of room and I can get right down on the tank if I wanted to. And in that position, brilliant airflow. Whether you like the looks of this bike or not, you can't argue with the aerodynamics of it. Great protection when you're tucked down. Hello sir. And then similarly, there's a lot of room to move forward. I can sit pretty much upright, look. Incredible. Upright, comfortable, and even then I don't feel like I'm in buffeted airflow. So I would say this is one of the more comfortable sports bikes I've ridden. It's not a classic sports bike, it's sort of in a bit of a class of its own. Maybe sport tourer, hyper bike, I don't know. But it's certainly pretty comfortable. It's not an extreme riding position, not as extreme as a out and out litre sports bike. Handlebars are relatively wide for a bike that's sporty in nature. Your legs are tucked up quite tight, so there's no doubt that you're on something sporty. And the seat, I suppose you could say, is quite hard, but it's nice and wide. It feels, it's a comfortable place to be. It's more comfortable than you'd think. It's physically quite a large bike, and I'm actually physically not a large bloke. I'm 11 stone, 5 feet 8, and it feels spacious and roomy for me. I'm used to much smaller bikes. Oh, handling is a delight around that roundabout. One of the things I like about the power delivery on here is that it's not done at stupidly high extremes. So even though it's got a big engine and it's a 4-cylinder bike, you don't have to absolutely thrash the pants off it to get it going. I'm just going to overtake these couple of cars here while I'm on a faster bit of road. Wow, what a machine. But the airflow was so much that I nearly lost my camera off the end of the handlebar. Serves me right. But yeah, this is a fast bike, really smooth, lovely to ride. It has oh, there goes a white van, making a point. It has 3 riding modes on it. A, B and C. I've got it in A at the moment, which is the most aggressive version. And boy, you can just tell this bike wants to absolutely fly. It's also got a couple of user riding modes as well, where you can tailor absolutely everything. I'll talk more about the electronics later. Back to the basics. So yeah, comfort is all there. Nothing behind. Let's just take this one. Ah! And it is incredibly fast, this. It's got a lovely sound to it when you wind her up. It's quite quiet actually, and the engine spins up really, really quickly. It's not a 4-cylinder bike that you have to thrash. It's just smooth and refined. The handling is a lot lighter than you'd expect for such a big, heavy bike. Turbine smooth. In fact, it's got a bit of a whistle to it. It almost sounds like it's got a supercharge on it. It doesn't. It's got that sort of whine about it. I love it. Brakes are absolutely phenomenal. It's got the Brembo style levers on here, so they should be good, but this is of course a brand new bike. They feel lovely. Oh, it's so nice in the turns, so balanced feeling. I thought it was going to be really difficult to move. I thought you're going to have to muscle it around the corners because it's so big, but actually no, it's a lot more agile than that. Okay, it's got an up and down quick shifter, which I have to say works beautifully well. What am I doing here? I'm doing 35 miles an hour now. I'm in 4th gear. Bike is not complaining at all, even though I'm going slow in a relatively high gear. Let's just change down on the quick shifter. Ah, smooth as you like. Down and up, very nice. Nothing wrong with the gearbox. Clutch is nice and light on here. Mirrors on the bike seem quite a way away because they're attached to the fairing. Unusual design. They sort of hang down from the top of the arm there. But they work very well. We've got a great view behind. Certainly out that right hand one. The left hand one, all I can see is the back of my GoPro. But I wouldn't normally be riding with a GoPro on board, of course. Man, those brakes are sharp. All sorts of electronics on the Hayabusa now, and that's one of the main upgrades that the bike has had, although it's now fully Euro 5 compliant. It's got an impressive electronic suite. I can't remember everything basically, you name it, it's on here. I will go through them when I do the walk around in a minute. In fact, I'll tell you what, let's magic ourselves to a car park somewhere. Let me do the walk around and talk you through the spec now. Okay, so I found myself a bit of a lay-by just here. It's quiet at the moment, hopefully no one's going to come and park, but and it's going to be a bit noisy, so apologies. But let's do the walk around then, talk you through the spec in the usual way. Hopefully you can see that. The splendid 2021 Suzuki Hayabusa. Now the looks do split opinion on this. I mean, there's no doubt it's aerodynamic looking, isn't it? But my missus described it as like a bike that Flash Gordon would ride. I have to say, I'm not a massive fan of the looks of the bike, but now I've ridden it and got to know it a bit, it's kind of growing on me. It might be one of those bikes because it does ride so nice. Before we get into the details of the spec, let me just show you some close-ups here. The paint on here has got like a matte silver, a colour I've not seen much of actually. A little disappointed that I got this one rather than the black and gold one, which I saw everybody else having on the launch, which looked absolutely amazing. I definitely have the black and gold. I think I prefer that to this this scheme, but actually the quality of this is lovely. As I say, when you go up close, I don't think you can probably see it through this camera, but the actual sort of depth of this paintwork, that fly goes away, is amazing. Not sure how you clean this sort of matte stuff, but there we go. Anyway, a couple of things before we get onto the spec. The hump on the back is an optional extra. That's about 180 quid, but I think just finishes the look of the bike off about right. The exhausts I don't like the look of. Absolutely massive. Look, they sound quite nice, but they are quite quiet. But I guess this is all part of Euro 5, but how ugly are those exhausts? I actually think the rear view of the bike is quite nice, but as I say, certainly splits opinion. Anyway, that's enough about the aesthetics. That's all obviously very much a personal thing. Not for me in terms of looks. Okay, let's get on to that spec then. The engine, 1340cc inline 4, now Euro compliant, as I said. Not much to see there, but really, really smooth. Puts at 190 PS, that's 188 brake horsepower at 9,700 RPM, so you don't have to rev the absolute bejesus out of it to get this bike to go, unlike many four-cylinder bikes that you may have tried. 150 Newton meters of torque at 7,000 RPM, that's 110.6 pounds-feet. The brakes on here, Brembo's are sat at the front. These are the Stylemas, but they're finished off in black 4-pot calipers. Normally the Stylemas are sort of a silver colour. I've not seen them like this before. And those discs on there, 320mm discs on the front. At the back it's got a single pot Nissin caliper. I don't know if I can actually get the camera in. There we go. Just lurking in there. And actually I didn't get a chance to try that yet, but yeah, the brakes are absolutely amazing on that front in particular, as you'd expect from Brembo. Seat height on here, 800mm, so sort of medium size seat. It's quite a physically wide bike, but that seat is nice and comfortable. Good padding and plenty of room to move forward and back if you are a larger person. I'm, as I say, a fairly small chap, and I find it very, very roomy and comfortable. Weight of the bike, 264 kilograms wet, and Suzuki boasts a 50-50 front to back weight distribution on this, so I guess that's partly why the handling is so nice on this machine. That tank on there, 20 litres it'll hold. I guess it'll drain it pretty quickly. I suppose 20 litres is about the going rate for a bike of this type, but I imagine it is quite thirsty. Electronics wise, well, I can't really, well rather I can only scratch the surface on a first ride review like this. Absolutely laid. And let me tell you some of the stuff. It's got a 6-axis IMU, so it's got lean angle ABS and a 10-level traction control, would you believe. It's got a bi-directional quick shifter, 3-mode launch control, active speed limiter, cruise control, anti-wheelie system, anti-rear wheel lift system, engine braking, hill hold control, LED lights, TFT display, riding modes, 3 user definable ones as well as the inbuilt ones A, B and C, low RPM assist, Suzuki Easy Start. The list just goes on and on. Absolutely loads of electronics. Well, let me show you the switchgear actually while we're up this end. Nice switchgear on here, nice and positive. You know when you've pressed it. This button here is how you do the selection of modes and so on. Works quite intuitively. Not sure about these adjusters in here for the suspension. Looks a bit weird, the yoke here, a bit complicated for my liking, but I do like the view of the cockpit generally. Those dials look absolutely amazing, really, really nice. What else to tell you about? Did I talk about the suspension? I don't think I did I? It's fully adjustable, as you saw by those adjusters on the tops of the yokes that are hidden down there in that weird looking bit. They're upside down KYB forks on the front, and KYB suspension on the back as well. Not particularly sophisticated, I don't think. It feels lovely, but I'm a little bit surprised that it's not electronic or you know, semi-active, anything like that. Price wise, the bike, £16,499, which for a bike that does have such an amazing electronics fit and is iconic and has the sort of awesome reputation that this has, I think actually that's pretty good value, because if you got a Hayabusa, everyone is going to come and have a chat to you about it. For 16.5 grand, I think that is an awful lot of bike. Alrighty, that's it for the walk around. Let's get back on and ride her. Okay, so welcome back on the bike. You find me just coming into the town of Wendover here, and it's quite a busy time at the moment. As you can see, quite a lot of traffic around. Interesting to see how it handles in traffic and at slower speed. Here I am at third gear doing 25 miles an hour, absolutely no complaints. The fueling on the bike seems really, really lovely. At all speeds it just seems really smooth. The suspension on it feels lovely actually, even though it's not perhaps as sophisticated as you might think of a bike of this type, in that it's not electronic or semi-active, but it does feel lovely. It's adjusted, you know, at its factory settings at the moment, and it's not in fact, you know, it's on the soft side, I would say. If anything, it's not wallowy soft, but for a sporty bike it's certainly soft. Well, I'm stopped here, look, and get my feet flat down on the deck either side. I'm 5'8" with a 32-inch leg, so the bike certainly easy to handle, easy to live with in terms of getting your feet on the deck. Doesn't feel ponderous, even though it is quite heavy. One of the things I really love about this bike is what they've done with the display here, the dash, the cockpit. I think they've got this absolutely right. I'm a bit old school and I love proper dials. Well, this one has got dials in abundance. It's got a proper fuel gauge on the left, rev counter, speedo and your temperature gauge on the right, all in analog dial form. They look absolutely epic. And in the middle you've got a little TFT screen, or it might be an LCD, I don't know, it's full colour, whatever it is, and that's got all your riding mode information and a myriad of other bits of information besides. What a beautiful day to be out on a motorcycle, eh? Recording this at the back end of April. Haven't been out riding too much, of course, because of COVID, but now we're opening up and we're allowed to. It's just such a joy and a pleasure to be out in this better weather. Looks like I might be stuck behind Grandad here in his X-Type Jag for a little while. Hopefully I can overtake him in a second. Anyway, while we're behind him, let me just explain that this bike, actually, I'm thrilled to say, is my next long-term loaner. I've got this for the next 2 weeks from Suzuki UK, so thank you so much to those guys for lending me the bike. I opted not to go to the launch of this bike. You would have seen loads of videos of people taking this up the wrong way at Sywell, and Suzuki very kindly said I could have gone on that launch, but I declined because number one, I thought there'd be a lot of people doing the same sort of videos, and I think I was proven right on that. I forgot whose video I was watching in the end because they all look the same. But anyway, that's by the by. I guess that's the problem that all these manufacturers have at bike launches, is that everybody gets the same sort of stuff. Well, I don't really want to do that. I want to do my own thing. So Suzuki very kindly said I could be one of the first to have a long-term loan of the bike, and they've been true to their word. So over the next few days and weeks, I'm going to ride this as much as I can and bring you all my experiences on the bike. Now, although it's a beautiful day today and the weather's set fair for a few days, there is a little bit of dampness in the forecast, so I'm looking forward to riding this on a wet day through Slough or somewhere like that, just to see what this thing is really like to live with. So if you are interested in the Busa, hello, is this an opportunity? Yes, it is. Then do stick around and stay tuned to the channel, because there's going to be a lot more videos coming on this bike, including, before she goes back, my in-depth review where I ride it in all sorts of conditions on all sorts of roads and give you all the lessons that I've learnt about the bike, not just the good things but the bad things too. But at the moment, I have to say, I can't really find anything too bad about the bike. My summary after this first ride is it's a lovely bit of kit. I mean, the looks, to be fair, not for me, but when you're riding the bike you're not looking at it, are you? I mean, it's through these bits of road here, it handles absolutely lovely. The suspension, as I said, gives a really lovely ride. It's nice and comfortable, nice and roomy, not intimidating at all for a bike that has this sort of reputation. Well protected from the weather, comfortable as sports bikes go. My goodness me, it's fast. My goodness me, the brakes work well. And also 16.5 grand for a bike that's this well spec'd in terms of electronics. I think that is somewhat of a bargain. So far, can't find anything I don't like about it. I hate doing reviews where I'm just saying good things about bikes. If you're interested in the kit I'm wearing, by the way, do stick around to the very end of the video. After the sort of end titles, I'll do one of my now infamous fashion segments. A lot of people have asked me to do those. I've a few videos I don't do them on. People say, oh, where's the fashion segment? So I do them primarily to tell you about the kit that I'm wearing and to save me answering questions in the comments about what jacket or helmet or whatever I was wearing. So I'll take you through that afterwards. If you're interested, stick around and stay tuned for that. But otherwise, that's pretty much it for this video. If you are interested in the Hayabusa, as I say, do stay tuned to the channel, because there will be a lot more coming, and we're really looking forward to riding some miles on this bike and getting to know her some more. If you've not been to the channel before, I don't just do bike reviews here on the Mission to Fly, but I do anything and everything to do with motorcycles. I do monthly bike news, I do bits and pieces in the garage about how to look after your bike, I do trips and tours at home and abroad, when you're allowed to go abroad. I don't just cover sports bikes, but adventure bikes, a bit of off-road every now and then, tourers, cruisers, retros, you name it, I'll try and cover it here on the Mission to Fly. It'd be great to have you along. If you're not done so already, do hit that subscribe button, and that way I'll see you on the next video. Until then, this has been the Mission to Fly. Cheerio. Okay folks, thanks for sticking around to the very end of the video for the now infamous fashion segment. The chance I have to tell you all about the kit that I'm wearing, so that I don't have to answer all those comments saying what was that jacket you were wearing or whatever. Alrighty, let me attach the camera to something and I'll talk you through everything. Okay, I found a gate to attach the camera to. So first up then, helmet. Well, actually, before I do the helmet, let me just show you these. These are my earplugs that I wear all the time when I'm riding the bike. These are from Custom Fit Guards. They're one of the sponsors of the channel, actually. So if you look at the links below, you can actually get yourself a discount off of these earplugs. And the great thing about these is, not only are they custom fitted, but you don't have to go to a shop to have the moulds made. If you give them a shout, they'll actually come to you, to your house, and take an impression for you. Then a couple of weeks later, you'll get your custom fit earplugs come back in the post, which is fantastic. And as I say, details below and a link as to where you can get them, as well as a 10% discount as well. So yeah, definitely worth having. These are called the CF Autos that I use. I have them in orange so that if I drop them on the deck, I don't lose them. All right, that's the earplugs. Next up, This is my TMF neck buff. You can get this from my website, www.themistenandflyer.com. £8, the grey one, new for this year. You can also get it in black. This is my helmet. This is an HJC Rafa 11. I've got two of these. Brilliant helmets. I just find it fits really well, my particular head shape. I think it looks sporty. This is a carbon style one. They're great value for money. Yeah, I think for the money you pay for these are a top quality helmet. They feel like a premium bit of kit. I also wear Array and Shoei helmets, and I think that these Rafa from HJC are just equally as good quality, but cost significantly less. Again, I'll put a link below to this helmet as well. All right, next up. Okay, next to the fashion segment, my gloves. These are from Dane, and these are Gore-Tex gloves. They're actually winter spec gloves. I tend to wear them all year round though, because what I like about them is the fact that they're quite thin. So you can feel, I can feel the buttons on my cameras easy to operate, and I can feel the controls on the bike nice and easy. The great thing about these are they're actually Gore-Tex as well, so they're properly waterproof. These are called, I think they're called Skagen. Let me just check. Yeah, Dane Skagen Gore-Tex gloves these are. Again, I'll put a link below as to where you can get these. Thoroughly recommend them. They're great. If you're only going to have one pair of gloves, then you can use these all year round. Next up, my jacket. This is from Richer. Again, can't remember off the top of my head the name of this particular jacket. Obviously it's a leather jacket. It's got all the right padding in the shoulders and in the elbows. It makes you feel when you're on a sports bike like you're properly protected, and that's what I like. Again, I'll put a link below to the jacket as well. Okay, next up, my jeans. Now, you've seen these many times before. I'll show you them. Here we go. Sorry, a little bit camp there, I do apologise. These are from Oxford Products. They're called Original Approved jeans. They're just as protective as leather, and they look stylish as well. They're slim fit ones, and you can wear these when you go out as well. They don't look like something specific for a motorcycle. I'll show you them again. I think you'll agree, pretty darn attractive. And then last but not least, something pretty new to my wardrobe ensemble are these boots. Check these out. Now these are from TCX, and they're Gore-Tex boots, and again, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but they're quite new. I've only had them for a couple of weeks, and they are brilliant. They've got D3O armour built into them. That's that armour that's soft and pliable until you hit it, and then it goes solid. I don't know if you can see, but even in the sole it's got some orange bits. I'll show you. Can you see in there? And in the sides. And the great thing is, you do them up using this zip at the front. But they're dead easy to get on and off, even when you're just wearing gloves. So again, I'll put a link below to that as well. So all those links, or some of those links below, are what are called affiliate links. So full disclosure, they'll take you to Sports Bike Shop, and if you click on those links and you buy the products that I've mentioned here, I do get a small kickback at no extra cost to you. So just mention that so you know. I would say I've no other links for the Sports Bike Shop other than those literal links below, but their service and their value I think is second to none. All right, that's it for the fashion segment. And by the way, it's entirely coincidental that there's been an AA van parked beside me for the duration of the fashion segment. Nothing to do with the bike. It's been absolutely fine. Even behind a white van, it's a pleasure to ride this bike.